2025 will be a big year for autonomous driving, in my view. Now, if you look at the Chinese market first, 2025 may be the last year the EV growth may see a double-digit growth. And after that, the growth is going to slow down dramatically. And in 2025, the consolidation among EV makers will accelerate. And then lastly, the autonomous driving will become a very, very important factor in consumers' purchase decisions. So far, I think very few consumers, in my opinion, that they decide to buy a certain EVs because of the autonomous driving features. But that will becoming increasingly important. Just imagine for safety ratio, if we make that up, say 99% safe, it's very, very different from 99.9% safe. I cannot imagine people will buy a 99% safe EVs if they are 99.9% safe EVs available at affordable price.
So what you're drawing the distinction there between, Chinese EV makers driving the price down. So far, the EVs have become so commoditized, right? You're making the distinction between transportation as a commodity and transportation as a service where you don't bear any of the risks or overheads. You just literally get in, buckle up your seatbelt, and wait to get to your destination.
Yeah, for the consumer cars, yes, absolutely. This is how we view the sector. We view EV as a robotics. We view it as a use case for robotics, right? It's a robot for transportation. Right now, you don't feel the robot part. You only feel the electrification part of the EV. But in the future, that robotics part, the autonomous driving part, will become very, very important. That may be the number one reason for consumers to pick one EV versus the other, because like you said, they all look and feel the same now other than the price. So the autonomous driving will become the differentiation, not only for the Chinese EV cars, of course, but also for the Teslas of the world as well. But on robotaxi, though, I'm a little bit skeptical, at least in the Chinese market so far, because the labor cost, as you know, is very, very different in China vis-a-vis in the US. When you have cheaper laborers driving cars around, the value proposition for having a robo-taxi fleet running around, it may not be as significant as you would see in the Western world.
No, I hear what you're saying. Jiong Shao, you referred to next year, 2025, being the year of consolidation and also, I guess, a shakeout in the EV world. Who is going to survive? Who's going to do well? Who's going to thrive? And who literally is going to drop out? And, the EV world right now, how big is it? How strong is it? Is it enough to support, what, half a dozen EV makers? Or is there some sort of magic number?
Well, I don't know what the magic number is, but to rewind 100 years ago, when car was just invented here in the States, there were over 100 car makers 100 years ago in the States here. We all know what happened afterwards. 3 survived. I think similar things may happen in China. There are way too many EV makers here in China. There may be half dozen, maybe even fewer than that. I think because the EV market has been growing so strongly, so if you're a player, doesn't matter you're strong or weak, you're kind of all doing okay. But as soon as the growth decelerated from a triple digit to this year 35% to next year perhaps 15, the year after going to be single digit growth, then all of a sudden when the tide goes out, we know who's weaker and who's naked. So that will be the driver for rapid consolidation. Now, I don't want to talk about who are going to be the losers to keep me out of trouble, but I do think that there are a few clear winners in my mind. I think BYD will be a clear winner. They have a third of market share. They're selling 500,000 cars a month. They're spending $6 billion in R&D in the last 12 months, $6 billion in R&D alone. I mean, to compete against those guys, it's going to be a very tall order. And I think